You work hard. You wake up early. You fight traffic. You answer emails that never stop. You give your best energy to deadlines that don't care about your dreams. And then finally, your salary hits your account. For a moment, there's relief, a small exhale, a quiet thought that says, I made it through another month. But that feeling doesn't last, because almost immediately, the money starts disappearing. Rent, groceries, electricity, internet, subscriptions you forgot you had, a credit card payment from a decision you barely remember making. And before you can even enjoy the reward of your work, your balance is back where it started. Low, tight, restricted. If this feels familiar, pause for a second. You are not lazy, you're not bad with money, and you are definitely not alone. Millions of intelligent, hard-working people live this exact cycle every single month, working harder, but never getting ahead. And that's where this audiobook begins. Welcome to How to Get Rich with Your Salary, a guide to using what you already earned to build what most people never do: financial control, freedom, and quiet wealth. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Your salary is not the problem. Your habits with that salary are. This audiobook is not about earning more. Not yet. It's about mastering what already flows through your hands. Because money doesn't change people. It reveals them. And how you treat your paycheck reveals whether it will own you or work for you. The biggest lie about salaries. We are taught something dangerous. We are taught that wealth comes from earning more. That if you just get a raise, a promotion, a better job, everything will finally fall into place. But look around. How many people do you know who earn more than they used to and are still stressed about money, still anxious, still dependent on the next paycheck, still one emergency away from panic? That's because income alone does not create wealth. In fact, for most people, higher income just creates higher spending. A better car, a bigger apartment, more lifestyle upgrades, more financial pressure disguised as success. The paycheck grows, the freedom doesn't. And slowly, silently, a trap forms. A trap called lifestyle inflation. You earn more, so you spend more. You spend more, so you need more. You need more, so you stay stuck. Not because you're irresponsible, but because nobody taught you the rules of the money game. The paycheck is a tool or a trap. Your salary is powerful, not because it's large, but because it is consistent. Consistency is the most underrated advantage in wealth building. A predictable paycheck is raw material. But raw material only becomes valuable when shaped correctly. In the wrong hands, a salary becomes a leak. Money flows in and flows right back out. In the right hands, the same salary becomes a wealth engine. Not overnight, not dramatically, but relentlessly. The wealthy don't use their salary to look rich. They use it to buy time, stability, and leverage. They don't ask, what can I afford this month? They ask, what does this decision do to my future? That one shift changes everything. Why most people never escape. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are not broke because they earn too little. They're broke because their paycheck has no assignment. Money without direction always disappears. If you don't tell your salary what to do, the world will do it for you. Ads, trends, peer pressure, emotional spending, impulse rewards for stress and exhaustion. Your paycheck becomes a reaction, not a plan. And reaction is expensive. That's why this audiobook exists. To teach you how to command your salary instead of chasing it. To show you how people quietly build wealth on ordinary incomes. Not through luck, but through discipline and structure. A different way to think about money. Let's reset something right now. Getting rich on a salary is not about deprivation. It's not about misery. It's not about never enjoying your money. It's about intention. It's about deciding that your paycheck serves your future, not just your present emotions. It's about learning how to delay pleasure strategically so you can buy freedom permanently. And that starts with one powerful idea. Wealth is built in silence, not in appearance. The loudest lifestyles are often the poorest. The quietest ones are usually building something unstoppable. What comes next? Now, we're going to break one of the most dangerous habits people repeat every single month. A habit so common it feels normal, yet so destructive it keeps people working forever. You'll learn what to do the moment your salary hits your account, and why the first 24 hours after payday determine your financial future. If this opening resonated with you, if even one sentence felt uncomfortably accurate, stay with me, because once you understand how money really responds to discipline, you'll never look at your paycheck the same way again. Dear viewers, write which city you're from. It's interesting to see which corners of the world are watching our videos. Chapter 2. The first 24 hours after payday. The moment your salary lands in your account, a clock starts ticking. Most people don't realize it, but the first 24 hours after payday decide everything. Not the amount you earn, not your job title, not your education. Those first hours determine whether your money will grow or quietly disappear. Think about what usually happens. You check your balance. You feel a rush of relief. And almost instantly, your brain switches from survival mode to reward mode. I deserve this. I worked hard. Just this once. And without a plan, money flows to the loudest voice in the room. Bills get paid, but without strategy. Spending begins without intention. Leftovers are accidental, not designed. By the end of the week, the paycheck is already tired. That's not an accident. That's conditioning. Why payday feels like freedom, but isn't. Payday creates a psychological illusion. It feels like abundance, but it's temporary abundance. Your mind interprets money as permission. Permission to relax discipline, to delay planning, to reward yourself for endurance instead of progress. And that's where most people lose, not because they're careless, but because they treat payday as an ending instead of a beginning. Wealthy individuals treat payday very differently. For them, payday is not celebration, it's deployment. Money is not something to spend first, it's something to assign first. Every dollar gets a job before emotions get a chance to interfere. The paycheck order that changes everything. There is an order to money. Ignore the order and money leaks. Follow the order and wealth compounds. Here's the order most people use. 1. Spend. 2. Pay bills. 3. Save if anything is left. This order guarantees struggle. The wealthy reverse it. Their order looks like this. 1. Protect. 2. Invest. 3. Live. They secure the future before funding the present. Not someday. Not when they earn more. Immediately. The moment money arrives. Protect first. Pay your future self. The first transaction after payday should never be consumption. It should be protection. Protection from emergencies. Protection from panic. Protection from being forced to make bad decisions later. This is where most people resist. Because saving doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't give dopamine. It doesn't look impressive. But it does something far more powerful. It gives you control. A protected person negotiates better. A protected person sleeps better. A protected person doesn't tolerate nonsense from jobs, people, or pressure. Saving is not about the amount. It's about the habit. Consistency beats size every time. Invest second, even when it feels too early. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. I'll start investing when I earn more. That day rarely comes, because investing is not about excess money. It's about training your identity. The moment you invest, even a small amount, something shifts. You stop being only a worker. You become an owner. Ownership changes how you think, how you plan, how you value time. It teaches patience, long-term thinking, delayed gratification, and most importantly, it breaks the paycheck dependency loop. You stop relying on one source of income emotionally, even before you escape it financially. Live last, not least. Living last doesn't mean living poorly. It means living intentionally. You don't spend what's left by accident. You decide what's left on purpose. When protection and investment are handled first, guilt disappears from spending. You enjoy what you spend just because it doesn't sabotage your future. That's freedom. The payday ritual. Wealthy people have rituals, not complicated systems, rituals. A repeatable sequence that removes emotion from decisions. A payday ritual might take 10 minutes, but it saves years of stress. Check income. Execute transfers. Confirm protection. Confirm investment. Then live. No debate, no temptation, no chaos. The ritual does the discipline for you. Why this works when motivation fails? Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is learned. Systems are permanent. You don't need willpower every month. You need structure once. And once it's in place, your salary stops being something that controls you. It becomes something you command. What comes next? Now, we're going to talk about the silent killer of salary wealth. A habit that feels harmless, even responsible, but quietly keeps people broke for decades. It's not spending. It's not debt. It's something far more subtle. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it. The topic of this video was chosen by you, our viewers. In most of our videos, we remind you that you can write interesting topics you would like to hear about in the comments. We take the most interesting ones into consideration. Today's video topic was suggested by one of our viewers in the comments. Natalie, thank you for this theme. If you want us to cover a topic that interests you, write it in the comments. This will help us make videos on topics that are interesting to you, our viewers. Chapter 3. The Responsible Trap That Keeps You Broke. There is a habit that looks smart. It sounds mature. It feels responsible. Society praises it, and yet it quietly keeps millions of people stuck on the same financial level for their entire lives. This habit doesn't feel dangerous. It doesn't feel reckless. It feels safe. That's why it's so deadly. The habit is this: using your salary only to maintain your lifestyle, not to grow, not to expand, not to escape, just to sustain. The invisible ceiling. Most people don't notice when it happens. They get a job, they get paid, they build a life that exactly matches their income. Rent rises with salary, spending adjusts automatically. Comfort expands just enough to consume every increase. On the surface, everything looks fine. Bills are paid, life is stable, there's no crisis. But underneath, something dangerous is forming. An invisible ceiling. No matter how much they earn, they never get ahead because every raise is already spent before it arrives. This isn't laziness. It's programming. Why responsible feels safe and fails. You were taught to be responsible. Pay your bills on time. Avoid risk. Don't dream too big. Be realistic. And so you became excellent at surviving. But survival is not wealth. Responsibility without growth becomes a cage. You become very good at maintaining, but terrible at multiplying. The problem isn't your income. It's that your money has no mission beyond maintenance. And money without a mission disappears. The difference between costs and commands. Here's the shift wealthy people make early. They separate costs from commands. Costs keep you alive. Commands build your future. Most people use their entire salary on costs: rent, food, transport, entertainment, subscriptions, obligations. Nothing wrong with costs until they consume everything. Wealthy individuals force one command into every paycheck. This money must create more money, even if the amount is small, even if progress feels slow. The rule never changes. The lifestyle inflation is not about luxury, it's about identity. Every time your lifestyle upgrades with income, your brain locks into a new normal. What once felt like a reward becomes a requirement. And requirements are dangerous because once spending becomes a requirement, fear enters the system. Fear of losing income, fear of change, fear of risk. That fear keeps you dependent, not on money, but on continuity. Why broke doesn't always look broke. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of the most financially fragile people look successful. They earn well, they dress well, they travel, they appear put together, but remove their next paycheck, and everything collapses. That's not wealth, that's performance. Wealth is not how you live. It's how long you can live without income. The rule that breaks the trap. There is one rule that changes everything. Your lifestyle must grow slower than your income, always, even when you earn more, especially when you earn more. That gap between income and lifestyle is where freedom is built. Not overnight, not dramatically, quietly, relentlessly. The moment you regain control, the moment you stop upgrading lifestyle automatically, something powerful happens. You create surplus. Surplus creates options. Options create leverage. Leverage creates freedom. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "Does this help me escape dependence?" That question alone rewires behavior. What comes next? Now, we're going to talk about the most dangerous word in personal finance, a word that sounds harmless, but destroys momentum faster than bad spending, a word that delays wealth for decades. And once you see how it works, you'll never use it the same way again. If you appreciate our efforts and our thoughts, subscribe and like this video. We need to show the world that there are many people like us. We must always continue to improve. Chapter 4. I'll start later. The most expensive word in money. There is one word that has quietly stolen more wealth than bad investments, low salaries, or economic crises combined. It doesn't sound dangerous. It sounds reasonable. It sounds patient. That word is later. I'll start saving later. I'll invest later. I'll focus on wealth once I earn more. I'll think about money seriously later. Later feels harmless, but later is where wealth goes to die. The psychology of delay. Your brain loves later. Later removes pressure. Later avoids discomfort. Later protects the present version of you. But money doesn't respond to intention. Money responds to timing. And timing is unforgiving. The difference between starting now and starting later is not months. It's multiplication. Because money grows by time, not effort. Why later feels logical. People delay not because they're lazy, but because they're waiting for the right moment. More income, more stability, less stress, more knowledge. But here's the truth. The right moment never arrives. Life doesn't slow down to give you a clean starting point. There will always be bills, always uncertainty, always reasons to postpone. If you wait for perfect conditions, you wait forever. Time is the real currency. Most people think money is the resource. It's not. Time is the resource. Money is just what time produces when used correctly. Every year you delay is not neutral, it's expensive. Because compound growth doesn't care about excuses, it only counts years. Starting small early beats, starting big late, every single time. The invisible cost of waiting. Let's be honest. Waiting doesn't look like failure. You still live, you still earn, you still function. That's why it's so deceptive. But under the surface, waiting creates 3 silent losses. 1, loss compounding, money that never had time to grow. 2, lost confidence, because you trained yourself not to act. 3, lost identity. You see yourself as someone who plans, not someone who executes. Those losses accumulate quietly until one day you realize years are gone. Why small actions terrify people? Starting small sounds easy, but psychologically it's harder than starting big. Why? Because small actions remove excuses. If you can start with $10, then you have no reason not to start. And that's uncomfortable. So the brain prefers waiting for a dramatic moment, a raise, a bonus, a breakthrough, not because it's effective, but because it protects the ego. Wealthy people start before they feel ready. This is a pattern worth memorizing. Wealthy individuals start before confidence, before clarity, before comfort. They let action create clarity, not the other way around. They don't ask, "Am I ready?" They ask, "What's the smallest step I can take today?" That question changes everything. The moment later loses its power the day you replace later with now. Even imperfectly, something shifts. You stop fantasizing about wealth and begin building it. You don't need motivation. You don't need certainty. You don't need permission. You need movement. Even slow movement breaks the spell. What comes next? Now we'll talk about something even more uncomfortable. Why saving alone will never make you rich, no matter how disciplined you are. And why the salary mindset quietly caps your future, unless you change one critical rule. This is where most people get stuck forever. Chapter 5. Why saving alone will never make you rich. Saving money feels responsible. It feels mature. It feels like progress. And for most people, that's where the story ends. They save, they budget, they cut back, they feel proud. But years pass, and nothing really changes, because here's the uncomfortable truth no one explains clearly. Saving protects money. It does not multiply it, and protection alone never creates wealth. The lie we were taught about saving from an early age, the message was simple. Save your money. Put some aside. Be careful. Don't take risks. Saving was framed as the ultimate financial virtue, but saving was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you stable. And stability is not the same as freedom. Why savers stay stuck. Saving has a ceiling. No matter how disciplined you are, saving depends on one thing, your income. If you earn $3,000 a month, you can only save what's left after life takes its share. Rent, food, bills, unexpected expenses. Even extreme savers hit a wall because saving is subtraction. Wealth is multiplication. The comfort trap of saving Saving feels safe, and safety is seductive. It gives you control. It reduces anxiety. It feels like you're doing the right thing. But safety has a hidden cost. It trains you to avoid growth. It teaches you to shrink your lifestyle instead of expanding your income. It rewards caution, not creativity. And over time, it conditions you to think small. Why inflation eats savers alive. Here's the brutal math most people ignore. Money sitting still is losing value. Every year, prices rise. Every year, your savings buy less. So even when your account balance stays the same, your purchasing power is shrinking. You're not standing still. You're moving backward, quietly. What the wealthy do differently. Wealthy people save too, but they save with a purpose, not as a strategy. They save to invest, acquire assets, buy leverage, create systems. Saving is temporary. Growth is the goal. They don't ask, how can I save more? They ask, how can this money start working for me? That question changes everything. The moment saving becomes dangerous. Saving becomes dangerous when it replaces thinking. When people say, I'm not ready to invest yet. I'll wait until I have more saved. I don't know enough yet. Years pass. They become excellent savers and permanently poor in potential because they never cross the line from protection to production. The shift that creates wealth. The moment wealth begins is when money stops being the goal and starts becoming a tool. Money is not something to hoard. It's something to deploy, even small amounts, even imperfectly, especially early. You don't need a fortune to begin investing. You need a mindset shift. From saver to owner. There are two financial identities. Savers protect money. Owners position money. Savers ask, how do I not lose? Owners ask, how does this grow? Savers fear mistakes. Owners expect learning. Savers focus on balance. Owners focus on flow. One survives. The other builds freedom. The bridge between saving and wealth. The bridge is simple, but not easy. It's learning to think in systems instead of effort, in assets instead of hours, in leverage instead of limitation. And that's exactly where we're going next. Because once you understand why salary thinking keeps people trapped, you'll never look at your paycheck the same way again. That realization is uncomfortable, but it's also liberating. Dear viewer, please write in the comments what interested you most in the video. This will help us improve our videos. Chapter 6, The Salary Trap and Why It Feels So Safe. A salary feels like security. It arrives on schedule. It gives structure to your life. It creates the illusion of control. Every month, money shows up, and for most people, that's where the thinking stops. But here's the truth most never confront. A salary is not freedom. It's permission. Permission to pay bills. Permission to survive. Permission to repeat the same month again and again. Why salaries create comfort, not wealth. A salary rewards consistency, not ownership. You get paid for showing up, for following instructions, for trading time for money. And while that model keeps society running, it quietly caps your future. Because your income is limited by hours in a day, energy in your body, someone else's decisions. No matter how hard you work, there is a ceiling. And ceilings are invisible until you hit them. The psychological cage of a paycheck. The real trap isn't financial, it's mental. A paycheck trains your brain to think short-term. You start thinking in pay cycles instead of decades. You plan your life around payday. You delay dreams until later. You accept slow progress as normal. And slowly, ambition shrinks to fit the calendar. Why hard work doesn't equal wealth. Many of the hardest working people in the world are not wealthy. They're exhausted. Because effort alone is not leverage. Effort without ownership builds other people's dreams. Effort with no equity creates dependency. Wealth is not about how hard you work. It's about what your work builds. The salary paradox. The more dependent you are on a salary, the harder it feels to escape it. Why? Because responsibility increases. Bills grow, lifestyle expands, risk feels heavier, so people say, I'll start later. When things calm down, after this promotion, and later never comes. What the paycheck never teaches you, a salary teaches obedience. It does not teach investing, ownership, systems, leverage, value creation. Those skills are learned outside the paycheck, and that's not an accident. The real purpose of a salary is not the enemy, but it must be used correctly. The wealthy don't see salary as a destination. They see it as fuel to buy assets, fuel to learn skills, fuel to build systems. They don't upgrade lifestyle first. They upgrade leverage. From paycheck thinking to asset thinking, paycheck thinking asks, how much do I earn? Asset thinking asks, what do I own that earns without me? One depends on effort, the other compounds quietly. One stops when you stop, the other keeps going. The moment the shift begins. The shift begins when you stop asking, how can I get a raise? And start asking, how can I make my money work when I'm not? That question separates earners from builders, and builders play a different game entirely. Because once money starts working for you, effort becomes optional, not required. Now, we'll break down how money actually works and why understanding its rules changes everything. Most people never learn those rules, and that's why they stay trapped. If your life changed 100% in your favor this year, what would be the first sign? Describe it. If your life changed 100% in your favor this year, what would be the first sign? Describe it. Chapter 7. How money really works. The rules no one explains. Money is not emotional. It doesn't care how hard you work. It doesn't reward effort, intention, or struggle. It follows rules. And most people lose the money game for one simple reason. They never learned the rules. Rule number 1. Money flows to value, not effort. The world doesn't pay you for how tired you are. It pays you for problem solved, value created, scale achieved. That's why two people can work equally hard and earn wildly different results. One creates value once and gets paid once. The other creates value once and gets paid repeatedly. Same effort, different structure. Rule number 2. Income is linear. Wealth is exponential. A salary grows slowly. Assets grow exponentially. A paycheck increases by percentages. Assets compound by systems. This is why the early years of wealth building feel boring. Nothing seems to happen until suddenly everything does. Rule number 3. Money multiplies where it is stored, not spent. Every dollar you spend disappears. Every dollar you store intelligently has the potential to multiply. The wealthy ask, where should this dollar live? The poor ask, what can this dollar buy me? Same dollar, opposite outcomes. Rule number 4. Time is more valuable than money. Money can be replaced, time cannot. So the wealthy trade money to buy time. The poor trade time to get money. One creates freedom, the other creates dependency. Rule number 5. Risk is not what you think it is. Most people think investing is risky, but the real risk is depending on one income, having no assets, relying on your body forever. Safety is diversification, and diversification is ownership. Why most people never learn these rules? Because the system benefits when you don't. School teaches you how to earn money. It doesn't teach you how money earns. Jobs teach performance. They don't teach leverage. And without leverage, you stay small. The invisible money game. While most people focus on consumption, the wealthy focus on accumulation. While most chase income, the wealthy chase cash flow. While most save leftovers, the wealthy invest first. Different rules, different results. The moment a salary becomes powerful when it stops being your lifeline and starts being your capital. Capital 2, invest, build, acquire, multiply. That's when money stops controlling you and starts working for you. The question that changes everything. Ask yourself this: if my salary stopped tomorrow, what would keep paying me? If the answer is nothing, you're not broken, you're just early. And awareness is the first form of wealth. Now, we'll break down exactly what to do the moment you get paid. The decisions that separate people who stay stuck from those who quietly build freedom. Most people waste that moment. You won't. Chapter 8. What to do. The moment you get paid. The decision point. There is a moment in your financial life that decides everything. It happens quietly. No announcement, no warning. It happens the moment your salary hits your account. That moment determines whether you stay stuck or slowly step into freedom. Most people lose before the money even settles. The paycheck arrives, and instantly, it's already gone. Bills, subscriptions, impulse spending, lifestyle inflation. They don't receive their salary. They distribute it emotionally. By the time they think about the future, the money is already living in the past. The wealthy pause, and that pause is power. The rich don't rush when money arrives. They pause. They let the money sit. Because the first decision is the most important one. Who owns this money? Me or my habits? That pause creates clarity, and clarity creates leverage. The first move, pay your future before your present. Most people pay everyone else first. Landlord, bank, utilities, lifestyle. The wealthy flip the order. They pay their future self first, not with leftovers, with intention. Even a small percentage done consistently changes everything. Because this money is no longer income. It becomes capital. Why small amounts matter more than you think. People say, it's not enough to invest. It won't make a difference. I'll start when I earn more. That thinking keeps them poor. Wealth isn't built by amounts. It's built by systems. A system that works with $100 works with $10,000. But a system you never build never scales. The second move, lock the money away from your emotions. If you can access it easily, you will spend it, not because you're weak, but because you're human. The wealthy automate discipline. They remove temptation. They separate spending money from wealth money, out of sight, out of impulse, out of reach. The third move, assign every dollar a job. Unassigned money gets wasted. Assigned money gets powerful. Each dollar should answer one question. What am I here to build? Not today, not this weekend, but long term. Money without purpose disappears. Money with purpose compounds. Why this moment repeats your entire life. You get paid again and again and again. Each time the same choice appears, short-term comfort or long-term control. Most people make the same decision for decades. That's why their life never changes. The shift that changes everything The moment your salary becomes a tool instead of a treat, you've stepped into a different game. You stop asking, "How much do I make?" and start asking, "How much do I keep? How much do I grow? How much works without me?" That's when money stops running your life. A quiet promise to yourself. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent, because every paycheck is a vote for the life you have or the life you're building. Now, we'll expose the silent enemy that destroys salary-based wealth, lifestyle inflation, and how to beat it without feeling deprived. Most people never escape it. You will. Hang on a sec. Dear viewers, write in the comments what you'd like us to talk about in the next video. We promise to read all the comments and pick the best and most relevant topics. Thanks. Chapter 9. Lifestyle Inflation, the Silent Wealth Killer. There is an enemy that never announces itself. It doesn't feel dangerous. It doesn't feel irresponsible. It feels normal. And that's why it destroys more wealth than bad investments ever will. It's called lifestyle inflation. Why more money doesn't make most people rich. Most people believe this lie: when I earn more, I'll finally get ahead. But the moment their income rises, their spending rises with it. Bigger apartment, better car, more subscriptions, more convenience. Not because they need it, because their identity expanded faster than their discipline. The trap is invisible, and that's the danger. Lifestyle inflation doesn't feel like failure. It feels like reward. You worked harder, you earned more, you deserve better, and slowly, quietly, your future disappears into your present. No crisis, no warning, just zero progress. Why the wealthy live below what they could afford. The rich don't avoid luxury, they delay it. They understand something most people never learn. The first purpose of extra income is freedom, not comfort. Comfort can wait. Freedom cannot. The real cost of upgrading your life. Every upgrade has a hidden price. Not the monthly payment, the opportunity cost. That nicer car? It's not just expensive. It's money that will never work for you. That bigger apartment? It's not just space. It's capital that could have bought time. Most people trade decades of freedom for short-term status and call it success. The rule that changes everything: increase income, freeze lifestyle. That gap, the difference between what you earn and what you need, is where wealth is born. Not someday, immediately. Why this feels uncomfortable at first? Because you'll feel behind others. They'll upgrade faster, show more, spend louder. But here's the truth. They're moving horizontally. You're moving upward, quietly, patiently, relentlessly. The discipline that makes salary powerful. Your salary isn't the problem. Your reactions to it are. When income increases, ask one question: how much of this goes to my future? Not how much you can afford to spend, how much you refuse to give away. The moment you outgrow this trap, one day, something strange happens. You realize you don't need to show wealth. You're building it. And that realization brings a calm most people never experience. Because you're no longer chasing appearances. You're designing outcomes. What comes next matters even more. Avoiding lifestyle inflation protects your money, but protection alone doesn't create wealth. Now, we'll talk about how salary becomes capital, and how capital begins working harder than you ever could. This is where income transforms into independence. Chapter 10. Turning salary into capital. A salary by itself will never make you rich, but what you do with it can. Most people see salary as money to spend. The wealthy see salary as raw material, something to convert, something to deploy, something to turn into leverage. This chapter is where everything shifts. The moment money starts working for you, there is a clear line between employees who stay stuck and employees who escape. That line is this: do you consume your income or do you convert it? Consumption ends the moment money is spent. Conversion is when money begins a second life. What capital really is and what it is not. Capital is not extra money. Capital is money with a job. Money that is assigned a role beyond survival. Rent, food, bills, that's survival money. Everything else has a choice: sit idle or go to work. The first rule of salary-based wealth before investing, before side hustles, before opportunities, you must create investable margin. That margin comes from discipline, not income level. Two people earn the same salary. One builds capital, one stays broke. The difference is behavior. Why most people never build capital? Because they wait for more money. They tell themselves, I'll invest when I earn more. I'll save when things calm down. I'll start next year. But capital is built before comfort, not after. The habit must exist first. The automation principle. Here's how wealthy salary earners win quietly. They never rely on willpower. They automate conversion. The moment money arrives, a portion disappears, not to spending, to ownership. You never feel the loss, but your future feels the gain. Why small amounts are not small. Most people underestimate compounding because they think too short-term. A small, consistent amount invested monthly beats large emotional decisions every time. Capital doesn't care about drama. It responds to consistency. From worker to owner, step by step. At first, your salary works for your employer. Then part of it starts working for you. Eventually, that part grows large enough that your salary becomes optional, not overnight, but inevitably. The identity shift that makes this possible. You stop asking, how much can I spend? You start asking, how much can I own? This single question rewires your financial destiny because ownership compounds. Spending expires. Why this chapter changes everything. Lifestyle discipline protects wealth. Capital creation creates wealth. This is the bridge, and once crossed, there is no going back. Now we'll reveal where capital should flow first, and why chasing returns too early destroys more futures than bad habits ever could. This is where patience beats intelligence. Chapter 11, where capital should flow first. Most people lose money not because they invest poorly, but because they invest too early in the wrong places. This chapter is not about hype, not about trends, not about chasing fast wins. This chapter is about protecting your future self. The most dangerous phase of wealth building. There is a phase almost nobody warns you about. You finally have capital, not much, but enough to feel excitement. This is where people make their biggest mistakes. They rush, they hear stories, they see screenshots, they feel urgency, and urgency destroys strategy. Why high returns are a trap at the start. When capital is small, your priority is not growth. It is survival and consistency. High-risk plays feel attractive because they promise speed. But speed without stability is how wealth resets to zero. You don't need home runs. You need time in the game. The order of operations for smart salary earners. Wealth has a sequence. Break the sequence, you break the outcome. Here is the correct order. 1, stability first. 2, liquidity second. 3, growth third. 4, speculation last. Most people reverse this and pay for it. Stability, the foundation you can't skip. Stability means this: no panic selling, no forced withdrawals, no emotional decisions. This comes from emergency reserves and predictable cash flow. Not exciting, but powerful. Because calm minds make better decisions. Liquidity, the power to move. Liquidity is freedom. It means you can act when opportunity appears, without debt, without stress, without selling at the worst moment. Illiquid people are always late. Liquid people choose their timing. Why simple beats smart in the beginning? At the start, complexity works against you. Simple systems survive mistakes. Complex systems collapse under them. The wealthy know this. First, build boring money. Then, once the base is unshakable, add creativity. The long game mindset. Your salary is predictable. Your investments should counterbalance, not mirror that. Slow, steady, repeatable growth is what frees you from dependence, not luck, not genius. Consistency. The emotional truth no one tells you: early investing feels underwhelming. That's normal. You're building invisible momentum, like pushing a flywheel that hasn't moved yet. Most people quit right here because nothing seems to happen. But this is where outcomes are decided. What this chapter really taught you: capital doesn't chase excitement. It flows toward structure, toward patience, toward systems that survive boredom. Now we'll expose why lifestyle upgrades quietly destroy financial progress, and how the wealthy enjoy life without sabotaging their future. This is the discipline that separates earners from owners. Please like and subscribe if you want a better future for your children, your family, and yourself. It's very difficult to achieve success today, but I'm sure you'll succeed. All you have to do is learn and discover new things. Chapter 12, The Lifestyle Trap That Keeps Salary Earners Poor. Nobody warns you about this trap because it feels like success. You earn more, you work harder, your income grows, and silently, your future shrinks. This chapter is about the most socially accepted form of self-sabotage in personal finance: lifestyle inflation. Why most pay raises never change anything. A raise should buy freedom. Instead, it buys comfort: a better phone, a nicer apartment, more subscriptions, more convenience. None of it changes your position. Only your expenses learn how to keep up. The illusion of "I deserve this." This phrase has destroyed more wealth than bad investments ever could. I worked hard. I earned it. I deserve to enjoy life. All true and all dangerous when used without control. Because what you deserve today can steal from who you could become tomorrow. The difference between reward and escape. The wealthy reward themselves intentionally. Most people escape discomfort unconsciously. There's a difference. A reward is planned. An escape is emotional. Escapes repeat. Rewards don't. Why comfort is more expensive than poverty. Comfort feels safe, but it creates dependency. You need the same income just to maintain your lifestyle. Miss one paycheck, panic starts. That's not freedom. That's a prettier cage. The wealthy upgrade sequence. Here's what disciplined earners do differently. They upgrade assets before lifestyle. They let investments earn the upgrade, not the paycheck. Lifestyle becomes a result, not a responsibility. The invisible cost of convenience. Every convenience has a monthly price. Food delivery, car upgrades, luxury subscriptions, individually small, collectively destructive, because they steal your investable surplus. And surplus is how freedom is built. The real flex is not what you buy. The real flex is saying no without stress, taking time off without fear, sleeping without financial anxiety. Nobody posts that on social media, but it's the life everyone secretly wants. A hard question you need to ask: if your income stopped for 6 months, would your lifestyle survive? If the answer scares you, your lifestyle is ahead of your strategy. How to enjoy life without ruining progress. This is not about deprivation, it's about delay, short-term restraint, long-term expansion. You don't eliminate pleasure, you schedule it after stability. The quiet power of underspending. Underspending isn't weakness, it's leverage. It gives you options, and options are the real currency of wealth. What this chapter really taught you: getting rich on a salary isn't about earning more. It's about keeping control as income grows. Now, we'll break down how to automate wealth so discipline isn't required every month, and how systems outperform willpower. This is where things get easier, if you build them correctly. Chapter 13. Automation beats discipline. Every time discipline is fragile, it depends on mood, on energy, on motivation, on how your day went. Automation doesn't care. It works when you're tired. It works when you're distracted. It works when life gets hard. This chapter is where wealth stops feeling heavy and starts moving quietly in the background. Why willpower always fail eventually. Most salary earners say the same thing: I'll invest what's left at the end of the month. And at the end of the month, there's nothing left. Not because you're irresponsible, but because willpower is finite. Bills arrive automatically. Temptations arrive emotionally. Only investing is left to chance. That's backwards. The golden rule of salary wealth: never trust yourself later. Decide once. Automate forever. The moment your salary hits your account, it should already be on its way to work, not waiting for permission. Pay your future first. Most people pay everyone else first: landlord, utilities, subscriptions, lifestyle, and hope something remains. Wealthy earners reverse the order: future first, life second. Whatever remains is what you're allowed to spend. No guilt, no stress, just structure. How automation removes emotional resistance. Automation eliminates debate. You don't argue with yourself. You don't negotiate. You don't rationalize. The money is already gone, working, and surprisingly, you adjust faster than you expect. The system that builds freedom silently. A simple flow: salary to investment account to living account, not salary to living account to hope. Hope is not a strategy. Why small automated amounts win. People wait for enough money to invest, but consistency beats size. A small amount invested every month builds identity, builds momentum, builds confidence, and most importantly, it builds time in the market, not timing. The compound effect. You never feel it first. At the beginning, nothing seems to happen. That's normal. Compounding is invisible before it's undeniable. The danger is quitting before the curve bends. Automation protects you from impatience. The psychological shift that changes everything. Once investing is automated, something powerful happens. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to get rich. You start seeing yourself as someone who owns income-producing systems. That identity shift changes decisions, and decisions shape outcomes. What to automate first in order: 1. Emergency buffer. 2. Long-term investments. 3. Skill growth fund. Lifestyle comes last, not because it's unimportant, but because it's supported by everything above it. Why this feels boring, and that's good. Real wealth is boring. No drama, no constant action, no emotional highs, just quiet progress. And boring systems beat exciting mistakes. The truth about set it and forget it. You don't forget it. You just stop stressing about it. You review occasionally, adjust intentionally, and let time do the heavy lifting. What this chapter really gave you: freedom from relying on motivation, freedom from financial decision fatigue, freedom from yourself on your worst days. Now, we'll explore how debt, when used wrong, drains salaries, and when used right, accelerates wealth. This is where most people get it completely wrong. Dear viewers, please write in the comments what assets you buy or are interested in. Perhaps these are stocks, or maybe cryptocurrency. It is interesting to see how you structure your investment portfolio. Also, please write what you think about real estate. Is it still relevant to buy flats today? Chapter 14. Debt, the silent salary killer or accelerator. Debt is not the enemy. Ignorance is. Most people were taught one lie about money early in life, that all debt is bad. That lie keeps salaries small and keeps freedom far away, because debt itself is neutral. It's a tool, and like any tool, it can either build your future or slowly bleed it dry. Why most salary earners feel stuck? Let's be honest. Your salary doesn't feel small because of what you earn. It feels small because of what leaves: monthly payments, interest, obligations you forgot you agreed to. Debt quietly claims your future income before you ever touch it. That's why raises feel invisible. The difference between consumer debt and wealth. Debt. There are two kinds of debt. One makes you poorer. The other can make you free. Consumer debt buys things that lose value: gadgets, cars you don't need, lifestyle inflation. You enjoy them once, then pay for them forever. Wealth debt, when used responsibly, buys leverage, education that increases earning power, assets that produce income, opportunities that multiply time. One drains your salary. The other multiplies it. Why interest is a tax on impatience. Interest punishes urgency. The faster you want pleasure, the longer you'll work for it. Every high interest payment is future time stolen from you. Time you'll never get back. That's why wealthy salary earners obsess over one thing early: eliminating toxic debt first. The order that actually works. Not all debt needs to disappear overnight, but it must be prioritized correctly. 1. High-interest consumer debt. Eliminate aggressively. 2. Neutral debt. Manage strategically. 3. Productive debt. Evaluate carefully. Emotion has no place here. Math does. Why good salaries still create financial stress? Because stress isn't caused by income. It's caused by fixed obligations. The more of your salary that's pre-committed, the less control you have. Control is wealth. The hidden cost of monthly payments. Every payment does something dangerous. It reduces flexibility. You can't take risks. You can't pivot careers. You can't invest aggressively. Your salary becomes a lifeline instead of a tool. The moment debt stops controlling you, something incredible happens when obligations drop. Your salary feels bigger overnight, even if it hasn't changed. Why? Because choice returns. And choice is the foundation of freedom. The wealthy use debt differently. They ask different questions. Will this debt create income? Will it increase future options? Can it survive a bad year? If the answer is no, they walk away, even if they can afford it. Why paying off? Debt builds confidence fast. Each eliminated payment is a psychological win. Momentum builds, clarity sharpens, discipline strengthens. You stop feeling behind. You start feeling in control. The salary shift you need to make. Stop asking, can I afford this payment? Start asking, is this payment buying my future or stealing it? That single question can change your financial life. What this chapter really taught you. Debt isn't evil, but unconscious debt is expensive. When you master debt, your salary stops leaking, and when leakage stops, wealth finally has room to grow. Now, we'll break down how lifestyle inflation quietly destroys raises and how to enjoy life without sabotaging your future. Most people never see this trap coming. Chapter 15. Lifestyle inflation, the invisible thief of raises. Most people don't lose money. They outgrow it. Every raise, every bonus, every salary increase gone. Not because they're irresponsible, but because lifestyle inflation quietly followed them home. Why raises never feel like freedom. Have you noticed this? You earn more, but nothing changes. Same stress, same pressure, same feeling of being one unexpected bill away from panic. That's not bad luck. That's lifestyle inflation. It's when spending rises automatically with income without intention. The moment the trap is set, it usually starts small, a better apartment, a nicer car, more convenience, more subscriptions. Each one feels deserved, and maybe it is, but together they create a new baseline, one that consumes your entire raise. Why this trap is so dangerous for salary earners? Entrepreneurs can adjust revenue. Salary earners can't. Your income is capped, but your spending isn't. That imbalance is deadly, because once expenses rise, they don't like to fall. The psychology behind it. Your brain adapts faster than your bank account. What once felt luxurious becomes normal. What once felt expensive becomes expected. And suddenly, more money feels like not enough. The wealthy play a different game. They don't match lifestyle to income. They delay gratification on purpose, not forever, just long enough to let money compound quietly in the background. They upgrade life after assets are working for them, not before. The simple rule that changes everything when income increases: freeze lifestyle, increase investments, buy back future time. Even 1 year of this rule can change your trajectory. Why comfort is expensive. Comfort feels safe, but it has a hidden cost. It removes urgency, and urgency is often the engine of growth. The goal isn't misery. The goal is controlled comfort. The salary earner's superpower: consistency. You receive money predictably. That predictability, when disciplined, becomes a weapon. Small, repeated decisions compound faster than big, dramatic moves. The invisible raise technique: instead of upgrading lifestyle, increase savings automatically, increase investing automatically, increase skill building automatically. Let your future self enjoy the raise, not your present impulses. Why most people resent their jobs? Not because of work, because of financial pressure created by lifestyle decisions. Remove the pressure, and work becomes optional faster than you think. How to enjoy life without sabotage. Enjoy consciously. Spend intentionally. Luxury isn't the problem. Unplanned luxury is the moment you break the cycle. When expenses stop chasing income, your salary finally starts working for you instead of against you. And that's when momentum appears. Now, we'll expose why saving alone will never make you rich, and what must replace it if you want real freedom. This is where most advice gets dangerously wrong. Chapter 16, Why Saving Alone Will Never Make You Rich. Saving feels responsible. It feels mature. It feels safe. And that's exactly why it traps so many people. Because saving alone will never make you rich. The lie: We were all taught from childhood. The message was clear. Save your money. Put something aside. Be careful. Good advice for survival. Terrible advice for wealth, because safety does not create freedom. Growth does. Why saving feels like progress. When you save, your bank balance grows. That growth gives you a sense of control. But control is not the same as momentum. Saving protects money. It does not multiply it. The invisible enemy, time inflation, never sleeps. While your money sits still, its purchasing power quietly shrinks. What feels like discipline today becomes stagnation tomorrow. The real purpose of saving is not the goal. Saving is fuel. It exists to be deployed, not admired. Money is not meant to sit. It's meant to move. Why the rich don't obsess over saving, they focus on cash flow, asset growth, ownership. Savings is a temporary stop, not a destination. The salary earner's dilemma. You trade time for money. That means income is capped, time is limited, energy declines, saving delays pain, investing changes outcomes. The shift that changes everything. Stop asking, how much can I save? Start asking, how can this money work harder than I do? That question alone separates savers from builders. Why people fear investing. Not because it's risky, because it forces responsibility. Once money is deployed, excuses disappear, and growth, or lack of it, becomes visible. The truth about risk. The biggest risk is not losing money. The biggest risk is never letting it grow. Staying still feels safe until years pass and nothing changes. The wealth formula. No one teaches income to savings to investment to cash flow to freedom. Most people stop at step 2. The wealthy push through. What replaces saving as the goal? Ownership. Assets, systems, things that produce value while you rest. The moment saving becomes dangerous when it becomes an excuse not to act. I'm still preparing. I'll invest later. I need more first. Later becomes never. The role saving should play. Save aggressively, deploy intentionally, repeat consistently. That rhythm builds wealth. Why this matters more than ever. Salaries grow slowly, costs rise quickly. Only assets close that gap. The real question, do you want money that feels safe today or money that changes your future? Because you can't have both forever. Now, we'll break down how rich people turn ordinary salaries into asset-building machines without needing massive income. This is where strategy replaces effort. Chapter 17, How the Rich Turn a Salary into a Wealth Machine. Most people believe a salary limits them. The rich see a salary as raw material. Same paycheck, different outcome. The biggest misunderstanding about salaries. A salary is not wealth. It is seed capital. What matters is not how much you earn, but what you do with what you earn. Why most salaries lead nowhere? Because they're treated as spending permission. Money arrives, money disappears. Nothing remains except another month older. How the rich see their paycheck not as income, as allocation power. Every paycheck is a decision point. The 3-bucket system. The wealthy mentally divide salary into 3 roles. 1. Survival, minimum lifestyle costs. 2. Growth, assets and investments. 3. Expansion, skills, leverage, opportunity. Most people spend 100% on bucket 1. The rich refuse to. Why lifestyle control comes first. Not deprivation, control. Every dollar tied to lifestyle is a dollar that can't grow. Freedom begins when expenses stop expanding with income. The secret move, automation. The rich don't rely on willpower. They automate. Investments, transfers, asset contributions. What's automatic happens without emotion. Why pay yourself first actually works? Because discipline beats intention. Money that never reaches spending accounts never gets wasted. The salary to asset pipeline. Paycheck arrives to asset allocation happens immediately to lifestyle adjusts to what remains, not the other way around. Why side income changes everything. A salary pays bills. Side income builds options. The rich use salaries to survive and side income to scale. The power of reinvestment. Early on, returns don't go to lifestyle. They go back into growth. This creates momentum. Momentum compounds faster than money. Why time matters more than amount. Small amounts invested early beat large amounts invested late. Time is the multiplier most people ignore. The wealthy never ask this question. Can I afford this? They ask, does this move me closer to ownership? How salaries become optional, not overnight, through consistent redirection. Each paycheck funds a future where paychecks aren't required. The turning point. The moment your assets generate income that covers part of your expenses, that's when freedom becomes visible. Why most people never reach this point? Because they wait for permission. Higher income, better timing, perfect knowledge. The rich start imperfectly. The mindset shift that builds wealth. I don't work for my salary. My salary works for me. That sentence alone changes behavior, the real use of a job stability while you build. Jobs aren't prisons, they're platforms. If you use them correctly. What comes next? Once assets start producing cash flow, the game changes completely. In the final chapter, we'll reveal the wealth promise, the long-term result of discipline, patience, and strategic thinking. This is where everything comes together. Final chapter, the wealth promise. There comes a moment, quiet, unannounced, when you realize something has changed. Not outside, inside. Money no longer feels chaotic. Fear no longer drives decisions. Time no longer feels stolen from you. That is the beginning of wealth. The wealth promise is not riches, it's control. Control over your choices, control over your time, control over your future. The promise was never luxury. The promise was freedom. Why this journey was never about money. Money is a mirror. It reflects habits. It reflects discipline. It reflects how you think under pressure. Change the mind, money follows. What you now understand that most never will. A salary is a tool, not a limit. Discipline beats income. Systems beat effort. Time rewards patience. Ownership beats consumption. You no longer chase money. You direct it. The compound effect you can't see. Yet, right now, results may feel small. That's normal. Compounding is invisible until it's undeniable. The rich didn't believe harder. They stayed consistent longer. Why most people stop too soon? Because progress is quiet at first. No applause, no validation, no dramatic turning point, just steady alignment. That's where wealth is built. The true definition of being rich, not having more, needing less. Knowing that tomorrow's already funded by yesterday's decisions. What this audiobook was really asking of you, not motivation. Commitment. Commitment to delayed gratification, long-term thinking, personal responsibility. No shortcuts, no fantasies, just execution. The final shift. You no longer ask, how do I get rich? You ask, how do I build systems that last? That question changes everything. The wealth promise fulfilled. If you keep going, if you apply what you've learned, if you stay patient when others panic, your salary becomes optional. Your time becomes yours. Your future becomes predictable. That is the promise. One last question. Will you return to old habits, or will you honor the person you're becoming? If this audiobook resonated with you, share the one idea that changed how you see money, and tell us, what topic should we explore next? Your journey doesn't end here. It begins now.